Camera gear, like so many other tools, can fall into two different categories. The gear that you buy because you have to, because it gets a job done. Functional, but not always sexy or even fun to use. On the other hand, there's certain kinds of camera gear that you buy because it's a joy to use and it's fun to use, and sometimes it gets the job done, although it might not be the most efficient tool for the job. The other category of camera gear is that which you buy for passion, for joy. You buy it because it's fun to use and it just sparks that excitement and makes you want to go out and shoot. It looks good as an accessory. It feels good in the hand. The Sigma 200mm f2 is a lens just like that. It can be used as a tool, but 200mm is not the most useful focal length. But you know what? It's a joy to use, and you'll be thrilled if it goes into your camera bag. This lens is the greatest of all time, the GOAT. Super quick video on the Sigma 200mm f2 for Sony E mount and Leica L mount. The L mount alliance. In a nutshell, this lens is the GOAT, the greatest of all time, the best 200mm f2 ever made. There's already plenty of videos about this lens, and again, the conclusion is this is the best. This is the best 200mm you can buy. So you can watch those videos if you want more of the technical details around this lens, but a super quick walkthrough is that it's got a focus switch, autofocus, manual focus. It's got a focus limiter switch with 3 options. It's got an optical image stabilization switch with 3 options, off being one of them. It's got a custom function switch with 3 options, and then an aperture declick button. It's also got an aperture lock button, so if you're in A and click the lock button, the aperture ring won't move. You unclick it, then it moves again. It's got several customizable buttons up top here. It's a 105mm focus thread. It's got a nice tripod foot that with this dial button thing here, you can unscrew it and spin it around. The tripod foot has an Arca Swiss cutout in it, which I really like. I wish every camera manufacturer and lens manufacturer would put this Arca Swiss cutout on its tripod feet. It's annoying when you have to buy an adapter just to get the Arca Swiss compatibility or screw on an Arca Swiss plate to the foot. So that's a really nice touch. It's got loops if you wanted to put a strap on this thing, although it's probably 3 or 4 pounds and very compact. As you can see, I'm just holding it with one hand. So I don't think you need the strap. I'm not even sure you really even need the tripod foot. You can totally handhold this lens without much difficulty. In terms of optical performance, this thing is phenomenal. Sharp, 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 sharp from corner to corner. Wide open at f2, I would say super sharp in the center and 9 out of 10 sharpness in the corners, plenty sharp in the corners for any application in the real world you would need. And then if you stop it down to f4, it's 10 out of 10 sharp across the frame at every corner. Just incredible rendering, incredible sharpness, really nice color rendition. Of course, I have it on a Sony, so it's hard to tell exactly how nice the color rendition is, but it looks good. Very, very well controlled chromatic aberration. Didn't really see any fringing that would give me any kind of trouble that couldn't easily be corrected in post. The bokeh is nice. It blows out backgrounds to smithereens, very smooth. Just an all-around stellar performer. If you're in the Sony E mount system, this is a must-get if you want a 200mm lens. With the L mount system, it's a little different because there's no sports shooting body, but if you wanted this lens for portraits, go out and get it. This is the one to get. I tested it against my Fuji GFX 250mm. This is sharper. I've shot the Fuji 200mm f2 for the X mount system, the APS-C line. This is definitely sharper than that. That Fuji lens is excellent, but several years old. This is showing that this is the most modern design 200mm. Sharp, sharp, sharp. Although I haven't shot them in a long time, I'm pretty sure this is quite a bit sharper than the Canon and Nikon 200mm f2s that were made for DSLR cameras. And I have to assume that this is quite a bit sharper and more performant, faster focusing than the Laowa Venus 200mm f2 that's coming out soon. In terms of focusing speed, I would put this, on par with the Fujis. They're linear motor, modern motor lenses, super fast focusing, the best that you can get in mirrorless cameras. So again, just want to reiterate, this is the best of the best. This is the GOAT, the greatest of all time right now, okay? But of course, I can't make one of these videos and not have a few nits to pick, right? So what are those nits? One, this lens doesn't take teleconverters. So it would be so cool if you could get a 1.4 or 2x teleconverter on here, because then you'd have whatever it is, a 340 or a 400, and that would be so useful. For being honest, 200 millimeters, not the most useful focal length. Like, it's good for portraits if you like to stand really far away from your model and not talk to them. It's good for like amateur sports where you can stand on the side of the field and get pretty close to the action, maybe like amateur baseball or like your kid's soccer game, but you want a longer lens for professional sports or certain sports like football where just the action goes further down the field. It'd be great if you just throw on a teleconverter and get that, but you can't with this lens. I don't love the 105 millimeter filter size. It is what it is, but I had to buy a special filter for this, and that was like $100. The next nit, not really Sigma's fault, but Sony cripples all third-party lenses, so you can only get 15 frames per second. For me, shooting like pickleball, paddle, those are the sports I shoot, with this sports lens, wasn't really an issue. I didn't even notice it, honestly. But for someone who's doing super high speed or super critical sports work, that might be an issue. Similarly, as I mentioned before, the L-mount system doesn't really have a fast enough sports shooting camera, so you're not using the full potential of this lens. I wish that Sigma would make this for other mounts. Why not throw on a Fuji X mount? This is $3,300. Like, it is so cheap, it would make sense for getting it to Fuji. If the image circle is big enough, make me a GFX version. I would buy this and sell the 250 millimeter f4 here. Make it for Nikon. I'm not sure if it's possible, but make it for Canon RF, or make it an EF like Vitas Laowa did so I can adapt it to all these different systems. But yeah, bottom line, at $3,300, this lens is a steal. This lens is so good, I would put it up with like first party, super pro $12,000 fixed focal length pro lenses. In my mind, this lens should be $5,000 or $6,000. It's that good. So if you have some need for a 200 millimeter, if you just want a super unique lens, you just like collecting crazy focal lengths, man, go out and get this. This is the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Fantastic job, Sigma. You continue to be the most interesting camera company in 2025. Keep up the good work. So what do you think? Have you gotten to try the Sigma 200 millimeter f2? What were your thoughts? Do you agree this is the GOAT, the greatest of all time? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.